This first part is the backstory. I just wanted to kind of do my best to make a full picture for everyone to talk about everything. And what better way to do that than to start at the beginning? So back in 2013, I went to college. I took a couple of English classes, I took a couple of computer science classes, I took a pointless class that it wasn't like a literally useless class, it was just useless to me. So I was doing that, but I was also in a relationship, a long distance relationship. In 2014, I moved from my home state of California to Washington, and I stayed there for 5 years.
Make him stay, Merv. Don't let me leave, Merv. Don't let me leave, Merv.
Back in college, I did consistently start to work on YouTube videos. And actually, that was the impetus for the first video that I made as an adult. That video was my DOSBox tutorial, which that ended up getting over 50,000 views over roughly 10 years. I don't know where it's at right now, but you'll probably see it on the screen. So yeah, that began the tutorial era, and I did make several tutorials. I made one for DOS. I made a couple for DOSBox. I made one for Brutal Doom. Shortly after that, I wanted to get into other things, and I started getting really excited about the Steam controller. So I made a review on it, and then I started making kind of like how-to videos on different configurations. And this was, of course, before Valve made it so that you could just share your configurations. At least super easily, being able to either just point someone to the community configurations or to share a link directly. I also was inspired by people like JonTron and other game reviewers to make reviews of games, so I played my hand at that. Of course, this was all when I was still just starting YouTube. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just having fun. So in 2017, the relationship that I moved for started to deteriorate. And I didn't recognize this at the time. I was just doing my best to keep things together. So I started working on Kojima's Deception. And I thought Kojima's Deception was going to be... I mean, when I first started it, I didn't think it was really going to be much of anything in terms of viewers. I thought, maybe I'll get a few thousand because that's kind of what I was used to. Used to just a few hundred at most, really. And then kind of started blowing up. I think the first one got over 10,000 views inside of like a month or two. The second one did pretty well. And then after the second one, the breakup happened. And when the breakup happened, I kind of started spiraling. And if you pay attention, you can tell pretty easily that really since the beginning I wasn't doing quite as well. Let's just say there's some like telltale signs that I wasn't doing quite okay. Rolling over to rolling over.
I'm so funny. Please shoot me, please.
No! 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 No!
And yeah, I would say it never really had the plot, but it really lost the plot after that point. I really lost the plot, I mean I was hyper fixated on proving something by just finding more evidence, basically confirmation bias, and I wasn't even aware of it. Because I was so hyper fixated, I wasn't realizing that I was effectively betraying proper theoretical means, which is you aren't trying to prove yourself right, you're trying to prove yourself wrong and failing to do so. So because of that, I was kind of throwing stuff at the wall and not really being as, like, I didn't know what I was doing, frankly. So yeah, around in 2018, I ended up working and doing my best to just stay afloat. And then in 2019, I ended up staying with some family for a little while and trying to build a foundation for myself. And I was starting to make progress, but I started to really become disillusioned with the people that I was living with, and I started to drink. I started to drink pretty heavily, and I didn't realize it at the time, but this was me trying to remove myself from the world, to word it as ad-friendly as I can. I started to feel like I was a burden to my family, and I started to really lose track of the plot of who I was as a person. I forgot to bring up COVID. Yeah. So while I was in the middle of that heavy drinking phase, COVID hit. And as it turns out, the company that I worked at, that actually was like the best paying job I've ever had with the most solid foundation, ended up, the entire company closed down because the manufacturing was being done in China, and I very well may have been one of the first people to actually get infected, because we had people coming in and out of China to do business. And it was around the time that the rumors about this weird cold started going around that I got severely sick for roughly 2 weeks. I didn't have any of the weird symptoms. I didn't have any heart complications or any taste or smell issues, although it's possible that I may have had long COVID, just because I did have some heart complications in the following years, but nothing in the immediate time when I had gotten really sick. So yeah, when I lost my job, that was when I decided to go ahead and move, because that was the only reason that I was putting up with that living situation, was because I thought I could use the time to build up a good stable of money and then get my own place. Start saving up there, start working on trying to move up the ladder, but then everything fell apart. So, hooray for a terrible fucking pandemic that no one saw coming, even though everyone saw it coming. Ugh. Anyway, so I ended up leaving that family and then moving across the country, and yeah, I ended up getting therapy, and that therapy helped me immensely. It really helped me to evaluate myself and find some peace, or at least maybe not peace, but contentment in myself. I realized that I had a lot of self-loathing, and that self-loathing was derived from childhood experiences, and I had to face those. I had to face that. It opened my eyes to a lot of things about myself, and it helped me to rapidly grow. I'll just kind of summarize it as I was stuck in Arrested Development because I moved away very suddenly and suddenly did not have that lifeline that I became very acquainted with. And I did not have my direct connections to my friends that I had become entirely used to. And the more time went on, the more the distance remained, the more I started to really hate myself. At this point, I learned to let that go, at least mostly. It's always a work in progress, but most days I'm good. But that's pretty much the backstory, I would say. So we're going to go ahead and do the next part, which is covering the general idea of where I've been. And yeah, we'll pick this up from there.